Okay, here's a little media bias. Donald Trump gave a speech, mentioned African Americans. Immediately, CNN commentator and some other contributors start jumping on Donald's back about, well, he wasn't in the right community. Well, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden gave a speech and mentioned the African American community, and they were in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And what's the population of minorities there versus whites? Anyway, here's a little clip I want you to watch.
Taken for granted, and he also took a shot at Hillary Clinton. I'm joined now by my panel here, and we're going to continue on. Go ahead for it.
What I was saying is, immediately coming out of Donald Trump's speech, the question was, did he deliver this in the right community? That's the first response, not let's talk about what he did, which is outreach to African Americans, not talk about the fact that he said, look, our country is at a perilous point, we have to protect our police, let's make sure that our community is safe, let's make sure people have good education.
We're talk about that.
Yeah, I understand, but
Other
the first
people's
point...
opinions are valid.
It's
the
not
first
an
person
opinion.
we went to was a reporter
I understand.
who brought up that
to
point.
question where the speech was being done. That's not objective. Look, Hillary Clinton was in Scranton, Pennsylvania with Joe Biden yesterday. No one said to her, that's not an African-American community, because Joe Biden talked about African-Americans. What's the African-American population in Scranton, Pennsylvania? I didn't see the reporters talking about that as soon as that speech was done. Where's the equity? Where's the fairness? I don't see it. That's the problem.
She wasn't giving a speech on African Americans.
But Donald Trump wasn't just giving that speech. He was also talking about security. He's talking about violence against police officers, of which, if you go and look at the facts, 80%. There's an 80% increase in gun violence against police officers this year over last year.
Correct. I don't disagree with that. But what was the bulk of the speech about?
It was a broad speech. It was about charter schools. It was about homeland security domestically, which is protecting police. It was about economic safety. It was about changes in Washington D.C. and the corrupt system.
It was.
That's
He
what the
spoke
story
a
was
lot
about.
African
But
Americans.
it wasn't just about that. That's what you.
I'm not saying no one said it was just about African Americans, but he spoke a lot about it.
But does that mean he has to give a speech in Washington D.C. to saying D.C. is broken? And that's the only place I can give him? Of course not.
We're analyzing the speech, Corey, and everything can be analyzed. Go ahead, Dan.
So Corey, I thought that the most remarkable thing about the speech, he said a lot of divisive stuff and law and order stuff in the past with American and the African American people almost 24 times. So I don't think you can sit up here and say that this was he was not aiming this speech in some important ways at a new constituency. In general, that's a good thing. We have wanted him to reach out. He's doing that. Unfortunately, in an arena that made it look somewhat laughable and with rhetoric that was very, very, I think, disrespectful. The African American community has other things going on than just crime.
The African American population and has done so for multiple election cycles, and he is now reaching out to show that under a Republican administration, under a Trump administration, what that would look like is better schools, better jobs, stop illegal immigration, which disproportionately hurts African American communities. He talked all about that because it is true that the Democrats have taken advantage and taken for granted the African American community, and this is Donald Trump reaching out to say there is a second choice.
Corey, I think what he is trying to aim at, and which is, I think you are correct, there is a section of the black community that is frustrated that the Democrats have not delivered. He is smart enough politically to try to go after that. But in the execution of it, the way that he went about it, I thought was despicable. First of all, he tried to divide us from our Latino sisters and brothers. If you know anything, he said that the undocumented community, I think he said illegal community, is in here taking jobs.
But you said Hispanic. He didn't say that. You said that.
And I'm
so
making
let's correct that. Let's correct that.
I'm going to make the assumption. I'm going to make the interpretation.
So don't try to say that he's playing Hispanic.
One at a time, please. One at a time.
Sure. Hey,
so, respectfully, let's get it right.
Duly corrected. I'm going to make the assumption that most people didn't think he was talking
Assumption.
about Asians. Most people didn't think he was talking about Swedish models. Most people thought he was talking about Latinos. And so since that's probably let me finish. Since that's what most people heard, one of the greatest things that's happened in the country is there's been a big healing at the.
So we're going to make some assumptions that he's a racist. That he's making a racist comment about African Americans and crime, and he was speaking of the truth. And if anybody wants to understand that Chicago is in ruins when it comes to crime, they need to go get on a plane or a bus or drive their personal vehicle there and go there and see exactly what he is speaking of. And nobody wants to take a note of that, then I guess that's a personal opinion. But once again, there we go with personal opinions. That man right there, I'm thinking he probably doesn't like Donald Trump. So he's the lead story for CNN now because he thinks that Donald Trump personally offended the African American community by not being in an African American community at the time he was mentioning the African community. Come on, really? You don't hold Hillary Clinton to the same standards as what you're trying to hold Donald Trump. People, get off of it. This is not a fair election, and I guess people would just rather vote in a criminal who has a history of lying to the American people and just overall just lying and the corruption that the Clintons have been involved in for many years. And it's sickening. I'm sick of it. It makes me sick. It makes me ill. And it really makes me wonder if I was fighting for the right side during the Cold War, because if this is what our country's turned into, we got some serious issues, people. If we're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, you know, I'm not saying Donald Trump's the best guy to vote for, but who the hell would vote for Hillary Clinton? I mean, I would vote for a dog or pet rock before I'd vote for her. I would write somebody in before I would vote for her if I wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump. It's despicable. In America, wake up. That's all I got to say.